Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Nacho Tuesday. Today I have Shailesh here with Hubilo. And without further ado, we'd love if you could introduce Hubilo and what you guys do over there.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andy, for having me. Hubilo is a modern webinar platform and a virtual events platform. Our take on the world is that webinars have been around for a long time, but the tools have not really evolved since the 90s. So we have a fresh approach to webinars, and we believe that there are so many different points that if you can take care of within a webinar program, the program can be enhanced to the next level, and that's what we hope to do for all our customers. My name is Shailesh Hegde. I'm the CEO of Hubilo, and it's been a great journey over the last few years being in the company.
Awesome. How many years have you been over there?
I will be completing 4 years this March, so yeah, it's been a journey.
All right, you've been through all the exciting times there. So I guess what's the best way to go about setting up a webinar for success? Obviously, a lot of marketers are looking to do webinars. A lot of them don't get a lot of value out of it. What kind of tips do you have for setting them up for success?
Yeah, I mean, our customers continuously and regularly host a lot of webinars, and it's contributing to their pipeline in a big way. I think there are many different ways to think about success for a webinar, depending on whether you're starting off with a webinar program or you already have like a fairly mature program. For those who are looking to start it off, I would say that really understanding what you want to gain from the webinar, because it could be different things. You might be looking to bring a bunch of leads or a bunch of awareness to your product. So you might look at creating a topic that is very, very suitable for that type of a webinar. If you have a more mature program where, say, top of funnel webinars have been successful and now you're moving over to bringing some leads that will convert, then you need to think about it differently. You need to think about it in terms of what's the attendance percentage that I'm getting out of all the registrations, right? How much money am I spending on promotions? What types of speakers am I getting to my webinar? Am I hosting my customers as references in that webinar so that people similar to them can also benefit from it? So there are multiple ways of looking at the success of a particular webinar. So I think every company or team needs to think about what is the specific goal that they would like to achieve, and then try to optimize it. So for example, for attendance, there are lots of smaller tools or smaller improvements that you can use from your webinar platform. Hopefully that webinar platform provides you with those tools in order to improve your attendance rate. This could be simple things like blocking a calendar for the registration, sending a couple of reminder emails from the platform. So all of those pieces can help you improve the success. And there could be other factors. For example, you consider your webinar successful if you're able to use the content that you created in that webinar in other programs that you're using. So if your platform allows you to create additional pieces of content, then that helps you scale your content generation in general, right? So depending on the goal, depending on what your webinar platform provides, I think every webinar can be successful.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it's a lot of value comes from the content generated from those for sure. So I guess what other tools and features can marketers use that provide for a better overall webinar experience? I think engagement's going to be a really important factor there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that over the last several years, and webinar tools have been around forever, engagement has been taken care of to like a large extent, whether it is polls, chats, questions, and whatnot. I don't think those have changed a lot. Some providers or some vendors have improved that experience. Perhaps their video experience is more engaging than some of the older ones, but engagement in general has not really changed as much. I would say that people need to start looking at different formats of webinars. Like what we are doing right now is a particular format. You can think of different other types of formats, like a fireside, or like I've been wanting to experiment with something like a Shark Tank type of a format, right? So you can think about formats also differently, and apply them to your webinars. Ultimately, I think people come based on the topic and the way it is presented, but the platform does have a role to play. I mentioned a couple of things earlier, a couple of features or capabilities to improve attendance rate, to figure out how to create additional content from the webinar. Now, in the age of AI, that has become a lot more easier. You don't have to spend a lot of money on giving that video to an agency or to an editor. You can actually do a lot of those things in-house at the moment as well. Beyond that, I would say that any webinar platform that gives you a granular understanding of who did what and being able to figure out what's the 10% of the audience that you really can further engage with. Because when you have 100 people on your webinar, not all of them are ready to buy or not in the market. So figuring out who's the most interested in whatever you're offering could be a way to improve your results. Second, I would say if you have a really powerful set of integrations with your marketing stack, that's always helpful, because in this day and age, who wants to download and upload a set of registration, set of attendees, and all their behavioral data, right? So you want that smooth integration to be in there. I would say the first two things that I mentioned, content repurposing, improving attendance, and these other two things, which is how do I find out the set of people that I really need to go behind in a nurturing manner, as well as having that data coming over to my marketing system so that I can build those nurture programs. I think those are a set of capabilities that one should definitely look at. Just makes everyone's life much easier.
Definitely, and Hubilo has a lot of those features, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yes, and a few more. We typically understand how mature a particular webinar program is, because if someone who is just starting off may not be a great fit for us, but someone who's been running a webinar or been running 6 to 12 webinars a year, they would be ideal. Maybe they are looking to scale the number of webinars, or they just want to do it on a larger number in terms of attendees, and just improve it in terms of what they can achieve from the overall webinar program. So those would be the right types of people for us to work with.
Yeah, that's where the analytics portion really comes in to be a lot of good. A lot of streaming platforms don't have good analytics from the ones that I've seen. So you know, the fact that yours provides that and allows you to really key in on who are the most engaged audience members gives you a really good idea of who to target in your follow-up marketing.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Great. So I guess what are some of the top content marketing or webinar topic trends in 2025 that you expect to see?
Um, I guess, I mean, content is such a specific thing when it comes to every company, right? So we'll definitely see a lot of AI, or how to use AI in better ways to make things more efficient, to help uh, save on a lot of resources, save on a lot of costs. That's probably something that every company is going to look at, and their webinar content is going to feature that. Um, I guess a lot of other useful content could just be around how to apply some of the latest technology that's coming out for a particular business. Again, there's so much changing so quickly. I think quarter over quarter or month over month, these topics are probably going to be changing. Uh, what I feel is companies who also talk about how to do the basics better will also see some success, because with all the hype around AI, there's also going to be a lot of fluff. So companies who come back to the basics and just be able to provide that basic information in an entertaining manner, I think that is what we will see. The content pieces may be the same, but the way they are presented is where I feel there will be a change. And it's great to see a lot of B2B companies adopt different ways of presenting their content. We can see that within our customer base as well, where people are trying different formats, people are taking certain controversial takes. So I feel that's going to be the feature of 2025.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of times too, like getting more down into the weeds with specific tactical advice as well, not just
Yes.
general. A lot of people like to talk about general topics, especially regarding AI. But it's like, what can I
Mhm.
actually do with AI? Like, what are the tools that I should be using? Those are the type of things that people want to walk away from these with.
Absolutely. And if I may do a shameless plug of a podcast that we do, it's called WTF News, Webinars, Technology, and the Future of Marketing News. So our goal there is exactly what you mentioned, which is give very specific tactical tips that someone can use the next day or the next week in their marketing program. And we are starting season 2 later in January. So that's something I would just urge or request people to look at. Yeah, trying to present content in very entertaining ways and also very tactical stuff uh, from people who've been there, done it before, and for a demand generation audience, which is who our ICP is.
Excellent. So it sounds like you guys know a little bit about content marketing, which I guess brings me to my next question. Everybody's trying to do content marketing, but it's seemingly overwhelming because there's a lot of content out there, especially with AI generation. It's everywhere now, and it's 10xing or more the amount of content creation that's happening. How do marketers really create good content that really stands out amongst the sea of sameness out there?
Um, I guess I'll answer that more from a content consumer perspective. I perhaps am not qualified to tell content marketing people what to do, but I can answer it from the perspective of what I enjoy. And my LinkedIn feed is full of like videos and posts and so on. And I think what gets my attention is something that is presented in a very unique way, something that is not the common stuff, especially seen in B2B marketing. For example, like a very generic explainer video is not going to get my attention, but that done, say, in a skit format or like in a song format might actually get my attention and just make me aware of this of any company that's trying to advertise to me. I guess short form content will continue to blow because my attention span is not what it used to be, and if that short form content is going to be entertaining, then that's going to hook me. At the same time, I also feel that if it's a topic that is of great interest to me, then I absolutely don't mind spending an hour or half an hour listening or watching that content because it's going to be helpful. So I think the challenge for content marketers will be to figure out the balance. How do they use short form? How do they use the type of entertainment that we want to provide? And whether long form does have a place or not. A survey that we did within our customer base showed that people or teams are not necessarily wanting to do a lot of podcasting. Like we hear there are so many podcasts around, but only 20% out of the 100% that we surveyed want to even start their own podcast. Maybe they are concerned about how are you going to attribute this and so on. But I feel those are the bets that they might have to take, and I have a sense that content that is presented differently is going to become successful, at least for me as a consumer of that content. That is what I would love to see. The other thing that would help me is, and we are going to try some of this year, is just have more bold controversial takes on how things have been happening in our specific industry, and just be out there with that controversial take, showing our point of view as opposed to run of the mill blogs, run of the mill articles, and so on. So we'll really have a very strong perspective, which is one way of standing out from the crowd.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be bold and different. Yeah, I think short form content's kind of a reaction also to the flood of the content that's happening. So people's attention span, because there's so much content out there, their attention span has been
Mhm.
narrowed. So it better be good. It better hook your attention. So that's where short form content's really good. It gets the point across quickly, but I do believe there is a place for long form content if you can get people interested in it. Um, I think a short introduction or short form content really gets people initially engaged. A good example I like is Blinkist. It's an audiobook site where you can listen to a book, and over 15 minutes you can kind of get the high level of the book. If you really like the book, you can buy it and you could actually read the whole thing. So that's another great example of how you could consume, high level concept really quickly, and then if you like it more, you could dive into the details and actually get the book itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is already happening. A lot of teams have been repurposing their webinar videos or in-person event videos to convert them into small snackable bits of video that they can then advertise on social, on LinkedIn and whatnot. And platforms are also evolving to have those editing tools, to have those branding tools and publishing tools to social media within the platform, right? So that really cuts down the time that it used to take. And most of the teams in the past would not repurpose because of the time and the cost. You have to spend another hour just looking through the content and figuring what the good parts are, handing it over to an agency that's going to take 2 weeks to get back to you with a branded set of clips. So all of that time has been cut short thanks to AI and a bunch of other easier to use workflows that platforms have incorporated into the webinar itself, into the webinar tool itself. So that's really going to help cut short the time that it takes, and I think that's making a lot of marketing teams super efficient. Also, the rise of certain standalone companies that do this just proves the fact that people want to repurpose and they want to do it quicker. They don't want to spend $5,000 per video on an agency. So I think the rise of these standalone companies that help you edit things faster and a lot of this capability being incorporated by webinar platforms, that's a sign that people want to do it all in-house now.
Yeah, same with these kind of interviews too. We get a lot of great feedback, tips from, smart people like yourself that have a lot of experience, running your platform in your field. So we can grab like these short little 1 minute clips out of there, like great nuggets of information, and share that on social media. Does Hubilo have like a feature built in that allows for people to cut their video up into smaller pieces for short form content?
Yes, we do. And that is something that I myself use every day because every time we host an episode, I have been given the task by the marketing team to post those clips on social. And luckily, Hubilo lets me do all of that work under a few minutes because we are able to detect what are the interesting parts based on the audience that we are giving these clips to, and I just need to go in there, check if the AI did its job correctly, make a few quick corrections, put in some branding that our marketing team gives me, and within a few minutes, I'm able to post these clips. I love like writing a lot, so I've anyway volunteered to do that for our marketing team. But this feature has actually made me a power user of Hubilo and the Snackable Content Hub feature, which helps me give very quick feedback to our developers and the product team. So that's been really interesting. It's nice to see our customers also make great use of this capability and give us continuous feedback. It feels to me that a lot of the independent companies that are out there building these tools, we will end up replicating a lot of those capabilities just within the platform because our customers expect that level of editing capability, branding capability, and publishing to be available. Otherwise, they have to spend a lot of time downloading the video, uploading it elsewhere, and that just is a broken workflow, right? So, yeah, our goal is to do all of those things within the platform.
Yeah, this is great. People are already getting actionable insights from this interview right here. We used to do it ourselves. So we used to, take the 30 minutes and have to go through it, like zip through it as quickly as we could. But now with the AI tools, like you mentioned, you could kind of fine tune it down to like a specific point in the video, cut that a lot more quickly. It still needs a little bit of a human eye, just maybe add a little bit of 5 seconds to the front, maybe add 2 seconds to the back to get the full point in there. But the great thing about your platform is that you guys have the analytics to tell when people are most engaged and like which parts of the video people are reacting to the most. So you kind of know already which part of the video you should focus on right away for cutting up your short form content.
Yes, absolutely. And in addition to that, we also look at the specific topic that's being talked about. We gauge the relevant audience for whom these topics make sense. And it's not a one and done. People will be able also to change the audience if they want to. So, for example, if there's a fintech company that's talking to finance professionals, but at the same time they need to talk to procurement professionals, the same video or the same clip can be updated in order to cater to them, or the entire video. You can pick up the segments relevant to procurement and also to finance, and that creates another series of content that you can do specific to the persona that you want to engage with, right? So it's not, we didn't want to think about it as just a layer of just a wrapper around the video, which a lot of other tools do, but actually help with prompting as well as regenerating newer clips based on what do you really want to get out of it. So it's a very interactive experience or a workflow, as opposed to being a one and done. Hey, here are the clips, go use them. We actually want our customers to interact with it and create net new type of content from that one piece of content.
You guys kind of sound like the Ferrari of webinar platforms. You got all the great features built for
Yeah,
performance.
yeah. Yes, I mean we do want to call ourselves the Ferrari, but it's not going to be that expensive.
Not that price yet.
So yeah.
Ferrari price at a Toyota pricing, Ferrari features. I love it. So what other tips do you have for SaaS companies to have an effective webinar strategy? We talked about how data plays a big role into it. Any other tips that you would recommend for people?
Um, uh, I guess just focusing on the basics, ensuring that you have a great topic and a great speaker, because that is half the battle won. That is a learning that we've had over the last 12 months of running our own. Uh, as long as the person and the topic is super relevant to the audience, I think people come together. And if you're presenting that in an entertaining way, so we are going to try a few new things this year. For example, we've been doing um, pretty simple, but at the same time, interactive sessions where there's like a conversation happening. Mostly, it's recorded. It's done live versus pre-recorded. This year, we want to try a few new things. For example, we'll do some exclusives with that particular speaker. The first few registrants will get that opportunity to participate in that exclusive right after the webinar. So we're trying to do new tactics, new ideas, which is not just about, hey, here's a 30-minute webinar, come to it, but just creating more buzz and more exclusivity around the topic, around the speaker, so that people feel that, hey, there's something interesting happening here. I need to be here at this particular time, otherwise I'm going to miss it. And I think that sort of sparks this thought, and they're going to talk about it with their peers, and that's how we're going to get more people, right? So that's just one idea, and I hope others can try it and let us know how that works. But we are definitely going to try it in January, and we have a few more ideas lined up as well. So starts with the topic, speaker, what kind of out of the box thinking that you can do around the format, and of course all the basic stuff, which is make sure that your landing page is great, making sure that you're sending enough email reminders, ideally through the platform, so that you're not dependent on your email marketing team or your marketing ops team. Making sure that within the webinar, the experience is really high quality. You're able to engage people inside the video as much as possible. A lot of the older platforms have all the engagement items either splattered all over the screen or somewhere on the side. But I think bringing the relevant pieces of information to the foreground at the right time, that kind of makes sure that the right people are engaged. And then a lot of stuff that happens on the other side of the webinar, right? So I think a huge opportunity is lost when it comes to content on demand, because your live session only lasts about maximum an hour. But what do you do with that content later really gives you sort of the ROI on all the effort that you put in for that live session. So whether it is clipping it up, creating blog posts out of it, or just having a place where you can keep that piece of video to generate more leads, or just to create more education for your visitors, that is going to be super helpful. And then just having like a very methodical checklist type of system for it, so that your entire team is lined up. Because I think I've learned this over the last 12 months. Execution, it just boils down to execution. Once you have those pieces in place, how well you do those. So just having like a solid team of 1 or 2 people running those webinars would take you a long way. And even if you have a mature program, I think I would highly recommend the leader of the marketing team to go in and audit every step of the webinar as though they were a visitor or a registrant to that webinar. And that's how they would understand all the gaps and be able to inform their team of how to improve it. So that's one thing that's helped us a lot, especially when we want to help our customers. We just go do an audit of their webinar, one of the on-demand ones or one of the upcoming ones, and we are able to create like a nice report of 5 to 7 points that really tells them, if you improve these 4 things, then your attendance is going to improve by 30%, or your on-demand views are going to improve by another 50%, or your on-demand content is actually going to generate more leads for you by X number, right? So the nice thing about webinars is you can quantify a lot of things, as well as influence on the pipeline. Like there are tags that you can add and bring it into your marketing automation or your CRM, which can tell you, okay, out of 10 million pipeline, 5 million was definitely influenced by a webinar touchpoint, which is extremely important information, say for your leadership to know or for your finance team to know. So, sorry, I'm blabbering a bit, but there's a bunch of
Really
things that
helpful.
you can think about in order to improve the webinar program, or just understand what are the benchmarks today and how do we improve it this year.
Awesome. So I guess one of the more important things too is some people do webinars for different purposes, some for content marketing, but a lot of people use it for lead generation, and ultimately they want to convert people into paying customers. So, what kind of tips do you have for converting those webinar viewers into actual paying customers?
Yeah. We've had success, especially with some of our customers, where um, for the bottom of funnel webinars, uh, really having a very clear CTA and something that is visible inside the video has helped. For example, in a typical scenario, what happens is if you want your audience to take a particular action, you send them an email 24 hours later or within 24 hours in order to take that action, right? Hey, this is what happened in the webinar. Here's the on-demand video, or here's how you sign up for a demo. We believe that 24 hours is like it's like a long time period, and things need to happen instantly. So we have certain capabilities where people can click on certain CTAs within the video itself. One of the tactics that helped one of our customers, and multiple of them, is by embedding a calendar booking UI within the webinar itself. So for example, you have these tools like Revenue Hero, you have Chili Piper. And if it's a bottom of funnel webinar specifically, and you're basically looking for booking demos, then just inserting or embedding this meeting booking UI inside the webinar just dramatically shot up the conversion rate for our customer, right? And they were so thrilled with that we had not implemented it ourselves, and then we started doing it ourselves. So our customers are teaching us how to use our product in better ways, and that's specifically for lead generation, right? So that may not apply to other types of webinars, but in video prompts, or we call it conversion prompts, where you can have a CTA, which is a button that can take you to a demo page, or just having a calendar link or any particular embeddable UI inside the webinar interface, is something that has been extremely successful. In addition to that, I think conversion email marketing still is like a big a hugely successful medium, whether it is conversion from registrants to attendees or from attendees to demos or demos to customers. So we have capabilities where these emails, whether it's reminder emails or follow-up emails, can be sent. Multiple of those can be sent. You can time those based on almost like a cadence that a salesperson would send over to prospects. And that's helped improve the conversion rate because a lot of our customers tell us that their on-demand viewership has increased quite a bit after they implemented some of these tactics. So our goal has been to really understand the benchmark of where our customers' webinars are in terms of conversion, in terms of anything else that they care about. And month over month, webinar over a webinar, just trying to improve those numbers for them. And then in a QBR, it's really nice to see that where they were at the start of the quarter and where they are at the end of the quarter after 5 to 6 webinars. So that's been really nice.
Very nice. So I guess what's next for Hubilo? What kind of features do you guys have coming down the pipeline?
We've got some interesting stuff. We are really prioritizing improving the snackable content hub that I mentioned because we continue to get a lot of interest and continue to get a lot of improvement ideas over there in order to create just better content and faster content. One of the big areas of investment for us is while our platform is great in live streaming and also in uploading and playing just videos on the fly. One area that we want to improve upon is a lot of our customers, almost 50 to 60% of them, do a lot of pre-recorded video. And today those videos are recorded outside of Hubilo. And I don't like that. So I want them to have that workflow inside of Hubilo where they can record themselves. So if this were not a live webinar, then we would have been inside Hubilo, just recording, pausing where we wanted to, restarting it, and then at the end of the day, getting like a nice recording out of it, which you will be able to edit the front and back of or something in the middle, put some branding on top of it, and then, lo and behold, it's going to be ready for you to connect it to a webinar that you can run in a live format, right? So it's almost like a simulated live format. So that's the workflow that we would love to bring into the Hubilo experience. Outside of that, we plan to improve upon a lot of other capabilities that we have already launched. For example, lead scoring is something that I mentioned about, which tells you the top 10% or 20% of people that you should follow up with in a very personalized manner because they showed a lot of interest in that particular webinar. And also improving how we are able to show our customers the different accounts that have been consuming their content, right? Webinars, people tend to think of it as very much from a leads perspective, but we are one of the platforms that think about it from an accounts perspective because a lot of companies these days think in terms of accounts or universe of accounts. And we want to be able to tell them, hey, this is your universe of accounts and this is the subset that has been consuming your content. And a lot of times people don't even realize some new accounts that have been showing interest in their content, right? So that's a capability that has been adopted by a lot of our customers, and we want to further improve upon that.
Very exciting. So yeah, it sounds like you guys have your ear to the ground. You're always learning something new and adding the latest, greatest features that customers demand these days. Where can people learn more about Hubilo and pick it up today?
Absolutely. Things are available on hubilo.com, hubilo.com. And it should give you a very good understanding of what we do and what we are good at. Would love to hear some feedback on how readable or how understandable our website is. At the same time, I would also urge people to take a look at wtfnews.hubilo.com. Which is hosted on our own product called Media Plus, which is our Netflix version of on-demand content. So would love it if people want to take a look at wtfnews.hubilo.com as well.
Very interesting. Yes, and we're proud partners of Hubilo as well. You could find it today in the NachoNacho SaaS marketplace. Your first stop for software savings. Shailesh, great to meet you again. Really loved learning about your experience with webinars. A lot of great tips came out of this today, and really appreciate you guys coming on and appreciate the partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Andy, and thanks for everyone listening to this.
Thank you.